name is Melissa, and today we're going to be talking about 1989's Pet Sematary, directed by Mary Lambert. There are certain horror movies that never really leave you because they tap into something deeply human. In this story, it explores love, grief, and the refusal to let go. Pet Sematary is one of those integral horror movies that is a part of my journey of becoming a horror fan. I have not revisited this movie in over 20 years until now, but the strange thing is, it's one I've never really forgotten.
Sometimes that is better.
That is the thesis of Pet Sematary. Based on Stephen King's 1983 novel, one that he has admitted scared him more than anything he's ever written. The story explores primal fears of death, loss, and the human refusal to accept mortality. The story follows the Creed family, Lewis, his wife Rachel, their daughter Ellie, and their son Gage. This is a family who just moved into their new home in Maine, of course, and across the road of their idyllic home lies a speeding highway of cars and semi-trucks who are constantly speeding, but beyond that is a path through the woods that leads to something much darker. We know it's a Stephen King story, but who is Mary Lambert, the director? Lambert began her career in the visual world of music videos during MTV's golden age in the 1980s. She directed some of the most iconic music videos ever made. She worked with artists like Madonna, the Go-Go's, the Eurythmics, and Janet Jackson. Her most notable work was with Madonna. Some of the music videos that she helped create was Like a Virgin, Material Girl, and Like a Prayer. Her visual style was bold, dreamlike, and filled with symbolism. Transitioning from music videos to film, her first feature film was called Siesta from 1987. This tells the story of an American skydiver who wakes up in the middle of nowhere in Spain and must piece together the last 5 agonizing days of her life. The movie received mostly negative reviews, such as Sheila Benson from the Los Angeles Times called it a monumental snoozer, though some critics did admire the ambition and the creativity of the movie. Modern audiences watching the film for the first time now have found it underrated. I admittedly have not seen the movie, but I am very curious about it. Even though it wasn't a commercial hit, it did earn a nomination for Best First Feature at the Independent Spirit Awards.
Mary Lambert, Siesta.
When it came time to adapt Pet Sematary, King wanted a director who could balance horror and heartache. Lambert jumped at the opportunity to direct this, but she first had to win Stephen King's approval. I think it's because I was very good friends with D.D. Ramone that sealed the deal. Lambert recalled of their meeting at Denny's. He knew I loved the book, I was an authentic fan, and I didn't want to change it or reimagine it. I wanted to respect it. King himself wrote the screenplay, he also cameoed in it, and personally chose Lambert to direct ultimately. He was drawn to her commitment to preserving the tone of the book and the deeper themes within the book. The film was shot in Maine, of course, and it premiered in 1989 as Lambert's first major studio horror film. Lambert used her visual style to craft a film that disturbs through emotion and memory rather than the gore of horror, taking this family tragedy that spirals into madness. And that path we were talking about earlier through the woods leads to the titular Pet Sematary. It's a handmade graveyard where generations of children have buried their pets, hence the incorrect spelling of Pet Sematary. And there's just something so inherently sad and creepy about it, but there is something about it that feels almost sacred about it as well. Like, you don't want to maybe interrupt or touch anything there. It feels like something more is going on, something bigger than us. So just to recap, we have the speeding semis on this crazy road, then we have the creepy woods to the titular Pet Sematary, and then beyond the Pet Sematary we have even something more creepy going on. So after the Creed's cat is accidentally killed, their neighbor Judd suggests Lewis to bury it beyond the old Pet Sematary, which he reveals he has learned that the soil is cursed, but it has this power to bring things back to life. The cat does come back to life, but it's darker and meaner, and something's just not quite right with it. Then we get to the most tragic scene of the film, where Gage is killed in this horrible accident with a semi. And I will say, since it's been 20 years since I've seen the movie, there is so many like foreshadowing moments before that scene. I like gasped a few different times, but I was a little too early until it actually happened. But again, it was so effective, just those tiny little shoes. Oh, the tiny little shoes. That is just something that's really stuck with me through the years. But grief consumes Lewis, despite Judd warning him that this is a bad idea. We also get these haunting visions and messages from this deceased patient of Lewis, but it doesn't quite get those messages in time, you could say. And what follows all this is a descent into pure horror, as Lewis learns how love can twist into obsession and how grief can push someone past reason or logic. I think at the core, the story is about love gone wrong. Lewis just really wants to protect his family and he wants to undo the unbearable. But he discovers that this ancient burial ground, it crosses this line with him of devotion and delusion. That's kind of more the general plot synopsis for the most part, or like the heavy plot points. But my general thoughts of the movie is I love this movie. I love this movie so much. I don't think the movie's perfect, but it is perfect to me. It's one of those kind of movies where I think objectively I can understand people not maybe appreciating it, but I love this movie so much. There's something about it that continues to live on, and why there is still, fans of this movie today. I think it's a strange mixed bag. It can sometimes be a little campy and absurd, but then there's also these moments of being really deeply sincere as well. And I kind of always like a mix like that when it comes to movies. But I think that's really fitting because grief is not neat or logical. It's really messy, confusing, and absurd. So it's something I think a lot of us can relate with, because I think all of us have or will have some kind of grief. And oftentimes a first grief in life is a pet. So I think it kind of makes sense that the first death is with Church, the cat. I also think this movie is a good example of history repeating itself. I think if Lewis maybe learned from his previous incident with the cat, he would maybe have learned his lesson that it was probably not going to be a great idea with Gage either. So I think that's an interesting part of this movie as well. When little Gage comes back with that little blue velvet dress with the cane and the hat, I mean, it looks like he's from like the 1800s, and I don't really fully understand it, but I love it. It's like those moments really stick with you. It's very like dreamlike. It's something about it is so heartbreaking, but it's also really effective and creepy. I also think this movie has a lot of good textures. With it being shot on location in Maine, it really grounds it in reality. If this feels like a real house, this feels like a real family. Just the different shots of the interior or the exterior of the house, it all really works. And the dirt on Lewis's feet and the eerie glow of the burial ground and the house in flames. So I don't know, when I think about this movie, I think of the textures. Maybe that's why, again, it really lives on for me. And at the end of the movie, we get this really disturbing yet sweet kiss in a Ramones song. And honestly, like, we really need to bring back the end credits song and then have the song be like the title of the movie. Like, not sure like why that has stopped in modern cinema. That needs to come back, because like I get that it's maybe a little goofy or whatever, but I don't know, it's a fun way to end the movie, and I really enjoy it. And yeah, like, this is something that just shouldn't work, but I really think it does. I think Mary Lambert just kind of leans into it all, and she finds this beauty with the horror and the strange sense of humanity in this madness, in this grief state of mind. But yeah, it's this weird little movie. It's got a lot of heart. It's always going to have a special place in mind as well. I think there's just images that you're just never going to forget. The iconic cat, Church, the haunting flashbacks with Zelda, those tiny shoes. Oh, the tiny shoes. I think the atmosphere is it's wonderfully eerie. It has great prosthetics. I think the stylization is just perfect. And I think the performance is pretty strong. I think there's maybe moments where it's a little, again, there's like this underlining humor throughout. But I always like a dark humor when it comes to horror or just kind of movie and storytelling in general. Really strong performance from the cat, like top tier cat acting. I also love that each character represents different, shades of grief, and I think that makes it feel more human and honest to different experiences with grief. This also kind of feels like a fable or a dark fairy tale, which is probably why I also really connect with this, because that's just always a style that I'm gonna enjoy and connect with. Pet Sematary, it's dark, it's tragic, it's strangely tender at moments. I think it's a reminder that death may be final, but love is super stubborn. And even after all these years have passed, it still really crawls under my skin in different ways. Yeah, I think watching it now, sure, there's some late 80s goofiness or campiness to it, but I think it's raw, it's human, and it's unforgettable. I think it also begs the question to the audience, how far would you go to undo a loss? Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Really appreciate all your support. If you're not already, please subscribe to tune in to more. We have more videos coming your way. What do you think of Pet Sematary? Does it scare you? Is it too silly for you? What is your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below what you think about Pet Sematary. And until next time, everyone, stay magical. Bye.